I firmly believe that America is not as divided as some have suggested. Americans of all races and all backgrounds are rightly outraged by the inexcusable attacks on police.
Well, over the weekend, the president suggested that the nation is not as divided as it seems, but he cut his European trips short. He's going to attend a memorial service tomorrow in Dallas for that city's fallen officers in what can only be described as hopefully an attempt to unite and heal a broken nation. Tomorrow could be the president's most important moment as the nation's leader. So the question is, will he deliver, and what should we expect? Joining to discuss, Michael Wilds, Leslie Marshall, and Van Hipp. Leslie, let me start with you. A lot of people were initially upset. The very first comments President Obama had to talk about Dallas, he interjected the gun argument, really frustrated a whole lot of people, and not just Republicans, thinking that there's sometimes you put away the political agenda. This is a chance to make that up, no?
Oh, yes, and I don't think that he will, and he shouldn't have a political agenda. This is about comforting victims' families and victims. This is about, speaking of healing, speaking of unity. The president has said before, when it has been a terrorist that we find out was Muslim, or in this case it was an African American who said that he wanted to kill white people, specifically police, and especially, and Charles, you're an African American male like the president is, we cannot have the mindset that when one person who is black wants to kill all white police, that everybody who is black walking down the street has that feeling. And I think it's important that he talk about that unity and, quite frankly, that melting pot, and that this division is not the norm, but we see it when terrible, terrible incidents like this take place.
And by the same time, Michael, a lot of people believe, just like when it comes to radical Islam, that by not occasionally saying, hey, what the exact problem is, he's making it worse. So in this case, I would hope and think that most Americans don't think that this guy represents all black people, but by the same token, he doesn't represent the guns in America either. And President Obama missed an amazing opportunity. The tone for tomorrow, pro-police, pro-unity, how does he do this? Can he even sway anyone anymore?
First, I think it was very wise, and thank you, Charles, for having me on, that President Bush will also be there, that there will be representation on both sides of the aisle, that he avoids any wedge issues. This is a national day of mourning. Our interests are all aligned. People want to be protected. They want to be safe, whether they're officers wearing blue or they're pedestrians of whatever color. This is, I think, one of the greatest opportunities that our president will have, and perhaps one of the last opportunities, where he can show us that our dark days of the civil rights movement are behind us, and we have a lot more in common.
But he's spent the last almost 7.5 years reminding us, or at least fighting in my mind to a degree, the wrongs of yesteryear. When I felt he should have been more focused on the future, it felt like he was the one bringing up the past as present more so than it really was. And I think he put himself in an awkward position.
These national challenges, whether it's the war on terrorism or the domestic strife we see on America's streets, are new challenges, and we have to face them well. And presidents now, in the age of social media and instant television, their mistakes and their gut reactions, be they instinctive or genuine, are being watched by the entirety of the world. I think that this president will step up, and that I think our nation needs healing. And frankly, we got to put this behind us, because there are a lot more important troubles and challenges that we have.
Van Hipp, a lot has been made about Donald Trump and knee-jerk reactions on Twitter or whatever. He was very calm and measured over the weekend when it was President Obama who seemed to go back to the same playbook, and his frustration was clear. But again, it didn't feel like he was as frustrated with perhaps the situation as much as the policies, in this particular case, guns.
I think you're right. And getting back to what you said, Charles, I believe this is the most important speech of President Obama's presidency. And I think he can begin by reaching out to Dallas Police Chief David Brown and getting advice on the kind of speech that the American people need. We're hurting right now, and we need a president who can pull this country together, unite our people. We don't need a political speech. We don't need to hear about gun control. We don't need a political lecture. We need a president to remind the people the reason we have a government is to keep people safe. And the only thing thing separating us now in anarchy is that thin blue line. And we have something called the rule of law in America. And we've got to respect and uphold the rule of law. If he can talk like that to the American people tomorrow, he can begin to go a long way to help bringing this country together.
Leslie, last word to you.
I don't think that the president's words are going to solve this problem, and I think that it's naive and unrealistic for us to expect that they should. I think he's shown comfort.
Could it be a step in the right direction toward?
Well, I think he's shown that with Newtown when he started singing Amazing Grace in South Carolina, the beautiful words that he said after Gabby Giffords and others were shot. So I think he's done that before. He can do it again, and he will.